Hello, and today we'll continue with Cleaved. This is Fraser's side story. The sunlight radiating through the window easily steals me awake. I throw the blanket off of me, desperate to escape the heat. The safe house is lit bright from the sun beating in. I take a big stretch as a yawn escapes me, trying not to pop a bone or two out of place. It must be early in the morning. Nero still hasn't gotten up, and it's relatively quiet outside. At least as quiet as it can be in a city like this. Looking around the upstairs cupboards, I snag some towels and make my way to the bathroom, which houses an old but usable tub. Cold water jettisons from the spout as I turn it on, and I take the opportunity to splash some of it on my face, fully raking myself as it soaks. I slide my pants and undergarments off as the tub continues to fill, the room filling with steam as the water heats up. Alright, that should be good enough. The loud roars of water don't take long to quiet as I turn the handles tight. I dip one of my paws in before fully committing to entering. Nice warm water, not too cold, but not stiflingly hot either. I slink down into the tub, letting my back rest against it as I soak myself. The things accompanying me are the sounds from outside as they grow in volume, and the drips of water coming from the faucet as I lay still. Eventually, I let my eyes close in a meditative state. As each drop hits the surface of the water, I start to wonder in my head. I wonder what Brian is up to right now. If my hunch is correct, they're probably still asleep right now. Soon enough, they'll be brought over to work after breakfast doing God's knows what in that woven tech mind they got before returning back to the castle. Though that doesn't take other factors into account, such as meals, errands they are sent on, and of course other members of the Woven Council. Calder especially has been making espionage much more of a chore than usual. I just hope the human isn't getting too close to him. Sure, he's just playing the part for now, but what if things start to happen and... No, that's stupid. Nero's been playing the part of a Venusian well. I must hand it to him. The accent is pretty damn good. It might have caught us some unwanted attention at times, but even still, it's brought us to more leads than dead ones. At times, I even thought I was losing my touch somewhat during the tour. Nero was on top of taking notes and everything. That Professor Stig's class did fly over my head a bit, though, as much as I would love to split up so we could cover multiple angles. Any of the professors on that tour seeing us alone could cause them to ask where the other is, since we're so close. And it's not like we're telepathic and can tell each other location. Hopefully we'll be able to go off separately at some point, though. I imagine it will be in the cards doing all of this, on purpose or not. I'm just glad things are back. I'm just glad things are back to being good between us. I'm somewhat surprised we didn't see Hager during the tour. He did leave rather quickly during our meal, but I at least expected to see him in the halls at least. It is a big university, so I suppose he could have been anywhere. It doesn't sound like he lived on campus, so probably not the dormitories. Hell, he was probably just in a class or something like that. Still, it would be nice to see him again sometime before we have to go. The question is how Nero would take it. As Antler surfaces to my mind, all I can think about is just how two-faced that man is, going from a calm and pleasant demeanor like that to cold and accusatory the next. If I didn't know better, I'd say he knows tricks like Nero and I. He didn't seem particularly pleasant during the tour, though, only after it. He's a hard man to get a read on. It's like he heals. It's like he seals the wheel. It's like he seals the wheel him away for only a few people to see. I just hope we don't see him again. Those footsteps worry me. However, I see it could just be paranoia bubbling inside me, but I get the nagging feeling that someone was watching us. It was probably just a librarian, but that just adds more depth to this mission. If that's the case, this might have to be another mystery to add to the checklist. My tranquility ends by the sound of loud knocking on the bathroom door. The roars of people in carts from the street outside fills my head all at once as I come back down. Fraser, how much longer are you going to be? The university's going to open soon. I'll be out in a minute. I leap out of the tub, pulling out the stopper to let the water drain as I throw a towel over my head to dry myself. Looks like I'll have to pick at some hard tack for my bag for breakfast. It's the same. I kind of wanted to try that place we ate at again. The cool air from the library is welcome. Lucky for us, it looks like not many students are using it right now. They're probably all stuck in class in a moment. The sound pages turning echoes throughout the building as the librarian flips through her book. I get Nero's attention while she's distracted. Okay, you check the right side. I'll check the left. We gotta move fast before anyone else sees us sneaking about. Will do. Meet back here? Yeah, get a grasp of the layout and tell me if you find anything interesting. Nero gives a sharp nod before heading to the other end of the library. I walk as fast as I can to the bookshelves, trying not to catch the librarian's attention. The shelves are much taller than I expected them to be, about 3 times my height. If I have to use the ladder, I'll need to be careful sliding it over. No climbing expedition today. I seem to have hit the jackpot on my end, however. There are hundreds of books on anthropology, geography, and history. It's a tad overwhelming. I suppose anthropology would be the best place to start. Let's see. Aristotle. To my disappointment, Grimm's book isn't in this section. Not that I should have expected things to be so easy. Given the amount of knowledge packed in there, I wouldn't be surprised if a student had it either, though that would make things 10 times harder. Perhaps history? It would probably be in there before geography. I glide my fingers across the rows of books once again and nothing. Now I'm starting to get a bit irritated. I just hope Nero is having better luck than I am. A deep sigh escapes me, and as the doors to the library open, I dash towards the end of the shelf, leaping behind it as the librarian looks up from her book. I take a deep breath before peeking down the aisles of books, instantly recognizing a falcon that entered. Good morning, Professor Adner. Is there anything I can help you with? Possibly. You wouldn't have happened to see a fox and a rat enter here, have you? The rat simply wearing Venusian attire. I'm afraid I haven't, sir. That's a relief. Adner sighs, adjusts his collar as he looks around the library. I dug back behind the shelf, catching Nero still in plain sight as he looks through the books. Hello. And today we'll continue with Cleaved. This is Fraser's side story. The sunlight radiating Through the window easily steals me away. I throw the blanket off of me, desperate to escape the heat. The safe house is lit bright from the sun beating in. I take a big stretch as a yawn escapes me, trying not to pop a bone or two out of place. It must be early in the morning. Nero still hasn't gotten up, and it's relatively quiet outside. At least as quiet as it can be in a city like this. Looking around the upstairs cupboards, I snag some towels and make my way to the bathroom, which houses an old but usable tub. Cold water jettisons from the spout as I turn it on, and I take the opportunity to splash some of it on my face, fully raking myself as it soaks. I slide my pants and undergarments off as the tub continues to fill, the room filling with steam as the water heats up. Alright, that should be good enough. The loud roars of water don't take long to quiet as I turn the handles tight. I dip one of my paws in before fully committing to entering. Nice warm water, not too cold, but not stiflingly hot either. I slink down into the tub, letting my back rest against it as I soak myself. The things accompanying me are the sounds from outside as they grow in volume, and the drips of water coming from the faucet as I lay still. Eventually I let my eyes close in a meditative state. As each drop hits the surface of the water, I start to wonder in my head. I wonder what Brian is up to right now. If my hunch is correct, they're probably still asleep right now. Soon enough, they'll be brought over to work after breakfast doing God's know what in that woven tech mind they got before returning back to the castle. Though that doesn't take other factors into account, such as meals, errands they are sent on, and of course other members of the Woven Council. Calder especially has been making espionage much more of a chore than usual. I just hope the human isn't getting too close to him. Sure, he's just playing the part for now, but what if things start to happen and... No, that's stupid. Nero's been playing the part of a Venusian well. I must hand it to him. The accent is pretty damn good. It might have caught us some unwanted attention at times, but even still, it's brought us to more leads than dead ones. At times I even thought I was losing my touch somewhat during the tour. Nero was on top of taking notes and everything. That Professor Stig's class did fly over my head a bit, though, as much as I would love to split up so we could cover multiple angles. Any of the professors on that tour seeing us alone could cause them to ask where the other is, since we're so close. And it's not like we're telepathic and can tell each other location. Hopefully we'll be able to go off separately at some point, though. I imagine it will be in the cards doing all of this, on purpose or not. I'm just glad things are back. I'm just glad things are back to being good between us. I'm somewhat surprised we didn't see Hager during the tour. He did leave rather quickly during our meal, but I at least expected to see him in the halls at least. It is a big university, so I suppose he could have been anywhere. It doesn't sound like he lived on campus, so probably not the dormitories. Hell, he was probably just in a class or something like that. Still, it would be nice to see him again sometime before we have to go. The question is how Nero would take it. As Antler surfaces to my mind, all I can think about is just how two-faced that man is, going from a calm and pleasant demeanor like that to cold and accusatory the next. If I didn't know better, I'd say he knows tricks like Nero and I. He didn't seem particularly pleasant during the tour, though, only after it. He's a hard man to get a read on. It's like he seals the It's like he seals the real him away for only a few people to see. I just hope we don't see him again. Those footsteps worry me. However, I see it could just be paranoia bubbling inside me, but I get the nagging feeling that someone was watching us. It was probably just a librarian, but that just adds more depth to this mission. If that's the case, this might have to be another mystery to add to the checklist. My tranquility ends by the sound of loud knocking on the bathroom door. The roars of people in carts from the street outside fills my head all at once as I come back down. Fraser, how much longer are you going to be? The university's going to open soon. I'll be out in a minute. I leap out of the tub, pulling out the stopper to let the water drain as I throw a towel over my head to dry myself. Looks like I'll have to pick at some hard tack for my bag for breakfast. It's the same. I kind of wanted to try that place we ate at again. The cool air from the library is welcome. Lucky for us, it looks like not many students are using it right now. They're probably all stuck in class in a moment. The sound pages turning echoes throughout the building as the librarian flips through her book. I get Nero's attention while she's distracted. Okay, you check the right side. I'll check the left. We gotta move fast before anyone else sees us sneaking about. Will do. Meet back here? Yeah, get a grasp of the layout and tell me if you find anything interesting. Nero gives a sharp nod before heading to the other end of the library. I walk as fast as I can to the bookshelves, trying not to catch the librarian's attention. The shelves are much taller than I expected them to be, about 3 times my height. If I have to use the ladder, I'll need to be careful sliding it over. No climbing expedition today. I seem to have hit the jackpot on my end, however. There are hundreds of books on anthropology, geography, and history. It's a tad overwhelming. I suppose anthropology would be the best place to start. Let's see. Erzaler. To my disappointment, Grimm's book isn't in this section. Not that I should have expected things to be so easy. Given the amount of knowledge packed in there, I wouldn't be surprised if a student had it either, though that would make things 10 times harder. Perhaps history? It would probably be in there before geography. I glide my fingers across the rows of books once again and nothing. Now I'm starting to get a bit irritated. I just hope Nero is having better luck than I am. A deep sigh escapes me, and as the doors to the library open, I dash towards the end of the shelf, leaping behind it as the librarian looks up from her book. I take a deep breath before peeking down the aisles of books, instantly recognizing the falcon that entered. Good morning, Professor Adner. Is there anything I can help you with? Possibly. You wouldn't have happened to see a fox and a rat enter here, have you? The rat simply wearing Venusian attire. I'm afraid I haven't, sir. That's a relief. Adner sighs, adjusts his collar as he looks around the library. I dug back behind the shelf, catching Nero still in plain sight as he looks through the books. He turns and sees me, of course starting. I dug back behind the shelf, catching Nero still in plain sight as he looks through the books. He turns and sees me, of course, started to walk my way. I flail my arms like an idiot, pointing down towards the front desk and making a giant X. Thankfully, the rat seems to understand my pitiful signs, jumping behind the end of a shelf near him. If you do manage to see them, Please tell me at once. I have reason to believe that they're up to something. Of course, sir. Oh, will you be at the party tonight? Honestly, I'm a bit torn. I might head home after classes end, as I'm not one for celebrations such as that, but it's my students and faculty. I feel a bit of an obligation to be there. Well, thank you, as you were. Goodbye, Professor. Nero and I scan the front as Adner leaves, waiting for the cue to come out of hiding. As the doors close behind him, with a loud thud, the librarian returns to her desk. Nero and I nod to each other, and I quietly walk back to the geography section. Please, please, please be here. I've been checking each and every book left. No book by Grim Elzeler. Damn it. Nero appears from behind the shelf, shaking his head as I notice him. Seems that his luck ran out as well. I pray to the gods that it's not wandering around here in some student's bag. I imagine if we search the upper floors, students will pour in. That or the librarian will finally notice us. Maybe we should sneak out and catch up with that assistant. I say it's about time he'd be ready for us. He's not wrong. It would be helpful to have someone guide us around the library. He will just have to pretend to be responsible scholars for a bit. Alright, let's move. It's taken us far longer than I care to admit to finding this classroom. A paper map can only go so far at a big campus like this. I wonder if those portable screens have a dynamic map that keeps track of where you are. Although I don't know how they handle the sun, it's already hard enough to read the paper map we have as we walk to and past the campus windows. I imagine an electronic one is even harder to look at. I can tell Nero is beginning to become frustrated as his snout contorts in an aggressive sniff. I can't blame him myself, as I'm trying to settle my own anger. It feels like we've been past this room 5 times by now. Some good that tour did us. Perhaps I should have gone on that private tour Bess suggested. Although Nero doesn't seem to see the humor in it, his eyes glued to the map at this point, it would be better to just ask someone for directions. Don't, Fraser. Don't what? Charm your way out of someone. You might think you're subtle, but you're quite easy to read, my friend. I'm not that easy to read. Yes, you are. A shiver goes up my spine as Nero looks me in the eyes. After that, I brush my trousers, quickly regaining my cool. Listen, if we're going to get some knowledge, it would be better just to ask someone on how to get there. The day isn't going to get brighter. Nero stares at the map more intently at first before giving up and stuffing it into his bag. I let out a mental sigh of relief knowing the headache is over. Okay, fine. It's not like we have all day anyway, although it looks like most people are stuck in lectures right now. We'll probably just have to double back a bit and find someone who can take us there. No need to worry about that, you two. Professor Stick's sudden appearance almost causes me to jump out of my pants. If this had been a battle, I would have pulled out my knife by now. Oh, my apologies. I didn't mean to startle you two. I just noticed that you were going up and down the halls and wanted to offer my assistance. Stick's tone is much more formal and compared to yesterday. He's also giving us that mischievous look again. Still, I'd rather not get lost again. I just hope it won't lead us astray. There's no problem, Professor. We're just a bit confused trying to navigate such a new place. Oh, I can relate. I remember my first few weeks here when I was a student. I gathered quite a number of absences. It's definitely not something I expected to hear coming out of a coyote. I began to wonder if I made a mistake. Can I see your map so I can show you the way? Nemo reluctantly gives the professor our map. It doesn't take the coyote long to scan the piece of map before finding our destination. Well, one of your problems is that you're on the wrong side of the campus. I'll take you over to your destination right now. I'll still have plenty of time before my next lecture. Well, that's embarrassing. The coyote passed us. The coyote pushes past us, waving his hand to follow us. It's not like we can turn him down at this point. I hope you both found my lesson yesterday to be invigorating. I love meeting those who have a passion for knowledge. Oh, we found it quite enticing. I've never held an interest in archaeology before, but you managed to make it interesting. Glad to hear. I was worried since you both were a bit slow on taking notes, we'll have to fit you both with some portable screens if you enroll here. Thank God for Nero taking the lead on that one. I barely remember anything this man talked about. I hope the professors didn't give you any trouble. I know Rasmus can be a bit excitable and Edna is quite paranoid, to say the least. We had no trouble with Rasmus. If anything, he seemed eager to meet us again today, though we have yet to see him. Professor Edna, on the other hand, Stick chitters once again as he opens the door to the campus. I guess Edna's suspiciousness isn't an uncommon event here. The coyote pats my back as we head outside, beginning our trek to the other end of the university. Don't worry your fur about old Edna. He might sound threatening, but he's just an old curmudgeon at the end of the day. He's probably right, but he's not the one scouting out the location at the end of the day. I wouldn't be surprised if he's had trouble with Edna, however. Stick seems a bit sifty for someone who teaches here. I'll do my best to keep that in mind. Thank you for the reassurances, Professor. Oh, please, just Stick is fine. You're not a student here yet. Sorry, I'm Fraser, and this is my friend Noir. Got it. I was wondering when you two were snooping around looking for this classroom. Not saying history is an uncommon subject people are interested in. I'm just curious. Well, I'm very interested in other cultures in their past. Adner was the one to suggest that we meet with the student assistant here since the senior scholar is out. A slight grin forms on the coyote's muzzle, and I swear that I can see him chuckle for a bit. He grabs the handle of the door, waving us inside as he opens it. That man seriously needs to make up his mind. Does he want to help you or incriminate you? I wish I knew myself, Stig. The coyote leads us past a few doors before we arrive at one directly hit by the sun coming through the window. The coyote gives a small bow before putting his hands behind his back. I hope to see you two in the future. I'll talk with you quite a bit, Fraser, but I'd love to learn some more about the news from you, Noir. I've been meaning to pay a visit there someday. I would be glad to share some information with you sometime, Professor. Stick smiles wide, clapping his hands together as Nero finishes talking. This man really is an archaeology bookworm, isn't he? I look forward to it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must prepare for my next lecture. Have a great afternoon, you two. The two of us bow at Stig. Walks to where he came from, going at a brisk pace towards the door. Once we're alone in the hallway, Nero exhales sharply. Not that I can really blame him. That man is eccentric still. It seems we might have a bit of an ally in him. Don't let your guard down, Fraser. He might seem friendly, but I could tell from a mile away he's not letting us know everything. I know. That smile of his gives me the creeps. Same. So are we meeting this student assistant or what? Yeah, let's make this quick. If we can, let's try to lead them towards us. Well, let's try to lead them towards taking us to the library if possible. The lecture room is much bigger than the ones we saw yesterday. There are more rows of desks for students to sit at, with screens lit up, full of notes from the blackboard. The desk at the front of the classroom is cluttered with books on the history of Valendras, with some maps peeking out from the pages of them. Notes are strewn about the table as well, and I can tell that the ink on them is fresh. Well, I think the student assistant was here recently. Should we just sit at some of the desks until they come back? No need to wait, I returned. A dark, scaly hand grasps my right shoulder, and I hear whoever it is slither behind us towards the desk. I can smell Nibble's fear from here, but it's not too hard to guess who just grabbed us. Wait a moment. My friends from yesterday, Fraser and Noir, correct? I look over to Nero, afraid I'll have to nudge him into responding. The rat takes a big gulp, however, steeling himself rather quickly. It's nice to see you again, Hager. I hope you can forgive me for my shyness yesterday. No need to worry. Everyone gets shy once in a while. How have you been? We've been doing well. We took the tour yesterday after finishing our meal. This place is gorgeous. Hager lets out a small chuckle as he begins to sort the books on his desk, pulling out the maps and folding them back up in the process. He lightly blows on the notes, trying to dry the ink scrawled across them. I'm happy to hear you think so. I hope to see you two here later in the year as fellow classmates. By the way, why are you two here right now? Oh, we're here to talk to the student assistant to this class's scholar. Professor Adner recommended them to us. A smug smile stretches across the snake's face as he picks up some of the books before putting them back onto the shelves. He picks up the erasers for the blackboard, slithering over to it to erase the notes. Look like I have two legs. I don't know how you really slither if you got two legs, but anyway. Why, that would be me. It kind of clicked when he started to clean up the entire room. Once all the notes are gone from the screens, Hager goes over to the window, opening it and batting the erasers together to clean up the chalk on them. I guess you might be educating us next semester then. Oh no, don't think of me as being above you. Despite assisting the faculty, I'm still a student, just like all the others here. I do have a fair bit of knowledge about the campus and its inner workings, though, so others do come to me for advice. It is a bit interesting the way some other students treat me. I suppose it would feel strange to be treated like staff when you're still working here. Quite. Anything in particular I can help you two with? Actually, we wanted a bit of a more private tour, if that's all right. Maybe get a little history lesson on the university while we're at it. Hager smiles warmly, placing the erasers down and rubbing the residue off his hands. Once he's finished, he opens the door, waving us out as he follows behind. He takes out a ring of keys, sorting through them as he finds the one that locks the classroom. With a loud click coming from the door, the snake ushers us down the hall, flicking his tail round as we follow. I had to tilt my head to avoid it hitting my nose. I'm afraid you won't find anything new about the history that you haven't already learned, but I suppose I could show you around the campus for a little while. Let's chat for a bit while I'll show you around, though. After all, our meal did get cut short yesterday due in time. I suppose we could start with that. The professor showed us the dormitories yesterday, and they were stunning. Well, I assumed most students live here on campus. I see what you mean. Yes, they are quite lavish, but that's not my style. I have a home in the city that doesn't take too long to walk to and from, so that's most convenient. It also doesn't burn a hole through my pocket. Just the thought of how much money staying in a dorm here would cost makes my stomach drop. I can see why Hager would rather just walk here. Were you two planning on registering for the dorms? We'll have to look around a bit more first before deciding on that. The city is beautiful, so perhaps it would be nice for us to follow your example. I'm glad to hear. I could possibly sway you. Of course, if you ever need lodgings, you're welcome to give me a shout and we could arrange something. Do you live by yourself, Hager? Indeed. Well, the city is gorgeous and I would love to have family stay with me. The lack of fellow serpents and lenders dissuades them from living here. It's the same. I would love to show them the culture here, and it can get rather lonely here all by myself. I swear that Hager looks directly into my eyes as he says that. But I do enjoy the quiet at times. The snake lets out a laugh, changing the tone before giving an opportunity of awkwardness to form. Do you have much planned for the day, Hager? Quite a bit, but it's certainly manageable. I was teaching my only senior class of the day just before you arrived. For the rest of the day, all I've got now is a class for the current first years, a short seminar for the seconds, and the senior party this evening as well. Oh, you going? Indeed, it's a lovely opportunity to mingle with my fellow academics and get caught up on all the know-how of the courses I'm now on. That, and I get some of the best food and drink in the city for free to sample on, so we see a collective chuckle at the thought, rounding the corner as we approach the library, following the snake closer as he navigates the halls like an expert, leading us to a private stairwell. Normally, this area is excluded for any of the first years, but stick with me, and I'm sure there'll be no worry. Got it. So, what's this errand you had to run out and do? Oh, well, it's a trade secret. Really? Lame. Are you two definitively sticking with Alendris as your place of study? All but certain of it. I suppose it's something you'll learn in time anyway. As we get to the top of the stairwell, an upper level of the library is exposed to us, a wide enough walkway decorated with seating areas and easels. We use this area as a private place to hold seminars for the senior students here, but directly connected to it is this walkway. The bridge comes into light, a walkway leading to what looks like a large office space comes into frame, locked off well by a thick set of doors and reinforced windows. This part of the library was one of the first things built when the vases were made. It's arguably the most protected spot in the whole university. Sid, any reason in particular? It houses the most treasured books in Alendris. A lot of those books are actually what we build a lot of the curriculum off. Ancient history, expeditions and their findings, the works of revered authors and guests of the university, you name it, all can be found there. And I'm one of the lucky few who has the privilege to access it and teach from it. He brings out a set of keys from his side and starts to walk to the door. Don't wait here just a moment. Well, do wait here just a moment. I'll return this, and maybe I could have you sit on one of my classes, give you a true viewing experience of what some of the classes we offer are like. That would be great. The professors from yesterday made it a point that joining the class your professor taught would be ideal for what we wanted to focus on, but they mentioned you were taking in any new students. Thoughts like that truly make me think this world's smaller than it is. While it's true I don't necessarily want to add more people to my course, I still have the ultimate say, and for you two, I'd happily make an exception. Perfect. The snake turns and walks away, waiting for him to enter the room before I lock eyes with the rat next to me. You thinking what I'm thinking? Oh, absolutely. All we gotta do is get those keys. We share a silent smile, the feeling of lady luck on our sides as we both begin to brainstorm. And just what are you two doing here? In the midst of our quiet celebration, we fail to see the flock of students follow in behind us, the leader of the cohort being the feathered thorn in our sides. I knew you were up to something. This area is completely off limits. You're not supposed to. Oh, would you knock off that incessant squawking? Silence. The students surrounding the room went dead, some covering their mouths from shock, others to stop from laughing. Before even making my next move, I can feel Nero's eyes on me. Slightly panicking, whereas Abner looked visibly pissed, turning a shade of red I haven't quite seen in some time. How dare you input? No. There is to be no name calling, no talking out of turn, and no respect to be given to a bird so balding I confuse him for a vulture. I'm honestly sick of you and this weird obsession you have with me and my dear friend next to me since we arrived here. I can tell from your lack of adamance that despite the age you are, you've never found someone to settle down, and your obsessive young blood must be a sad endeavor to feel like the man you've never had the chance to be. And I doubt, nor I know, that the presence you carry is a pathetic attempt to intimidate those you see as beneath you, forgetting that without them you would have nothing. Not your profession, not your current position, and certainly not the nice dividends applied to you from this job. Now, if you be so kind as to pick your beak up from the floor, I'm not finished. In just a moment, you're going to see my new friend leave the office space behind me, who will corroborate my story that we were invited here on a guided walk with him while we had to run an errand before starting his next class. I truly thought someone who's as eagle-eyed as he claims would be able to see him through the window over there. He's students with Hager? Wait, he's friends with Hager? I'm enjoying the show. So, Professor, despite what my good looks and sharp wit may portray, I don't have all the answers. So do enlighten me on one thing, would you? What would happen if I were to go to the dean, your fellow council members, or just about anyone who will listen and explain to them that the most prestigious and open educational institution on the world has done nothing but sow prejudice to one of its newest applicants, not only damaging the reputation of the institution but also its pockets, as you'll not only be losing the coin of the Abarquabach family, but the Allard name as well. That's right. The rodent had stepped forward, confident for the lead I had built up and put the avian in his place. I think I've heard of them before. Well, yeah, that's one of the richest families in the southern region. The bird's eyes went wide at my words. He was cut off by the sound of a door. He was cut off by the sound of a door slamming just behind us. Fraser, Noir, thank you so much for your paint. Professor Agner, good afternoon. What's going on here? Nothing much. We were just explaining how much we appreciated your companionship prior to meeting you here today. Ah, yes. Apologies, Professor. I meant to mention to you that I had some friends visit the campus. They were telling the truth. Hells, wouldn't want to be Professor Adler right now. I feel like a white asshole. Nothing is happening, Hager. I was just explaining that we have a lecture starting here. The class erupts into laughter watching the former loudmouth. The former loudmouth work into a meek state. Perhaps observe the culture my words have inspired from your cohort, Professor. The sting might lessen if you have something to learn from. Hager, should we make a move? We wouldn't want to be late to a class now, would we? Oh, of course. The time must have slipped away from me. Let's go. Professor, students. He does a quick head nod before speaking once more. I hope to see you enjoying yourselves at tonight's festivities. As we turn to leave and descend down the stairs, my ears twitch at a silent voice that is barely audible through a cloud of. As we turn to leave and to send down the stairs, my ears twitch at a silent voice that is barely audible through a crowd of laughter. Class is missed. The rest of the day goes by somewhat uneventfully. We return to Hager's room without further incident, simply watching a new cohort of students slowly make their way in and fill the seats of the class. A few of them do give a courteous stare in both mine and Neil's direction, clearly out of curiosity's sake. However, Hager gives them a simple introduction to us and explains we're here to observe, as we'll be joining this class in the near future. They all seem to accept and then return to focus on the lecture. Unlike Professor Stig, the ambience of his classes were much different, a common sense of interest being at the forefront of everyone's mind, including my own. In truth, it felt somewhat akin to the brief lessons my old man would give me when I was back home. I think those two would really get along. Professor, seeing as we only have a few more minutes, is it possible that I could share something with the class? Provided it's appropriate, I don't see why not. The student looks back at me, and his glance is enough to break me away from my thoughts. Within seconds of a recording is placed on the main screen of the earlier altercation that I had with the professor. Fuck. For the next couple of seconds, I anticipate getting a round of questioning looks and maybe the occasional chuckle, but instead there isn't a side face on anyone in the crowd's face. It's a resounding laughter that even Hager can't escape from. Oh, class. That might have nearly killed me trying to catch my breath, but I do think we need to wrap this up. You have another class to get ready for, and I think I need to have a word with our friends at the back there. As the students silently agree and begin to pack their things, they funnel back out the door, leaving me, Neil and Hager alone. I disappear for all but a moment, and in that time you provide one of the best spectacles the university has seen in that decade, and you didn't have the courtesy to wait for me to see it in person. The snake goes into a belly-aching laugh, watching the clip where the falcon's jaw goes wide. Apologies, I thought this esteemed professor would be above such a display. Officially, yes. I should be outraged. However, personally, that Burgess had a stick wedged up his ass since the day I met him. It's honestly quite nice to watch someone shake it. Happy to be of service then. Quite. Listen, both of you. It's a bit unorthodox of me to suggest this, but well, I've received information that Professor Adner is stepping away for the week after a flurry of complaints have come forward in light of this video circling campus, meaning he probably won't be at tonight's party. He won't be there to object to me inviting you both to it as my plus ones, if you'd be interested in attending, that is. He turns ever so slightly aside in that last minute, but Nero swiftly pipes up. We'd be delighted to. What time should we be here? Sunset. Meet me at the entrance to the Grand Hall, and I'll walk in with you to get you all situated. Perfect, Fraser. Let's leave so we can freshen up. I look forward to seeing you later. Flirt with him later. I want to look good for this evening. The rat proceeds to grab me by the paw and drag me out of the room, Hager having a slight blush to match my own. Indeed, see you this evening. Oh, Indeed, see you this evening. The walk back to the accommodation was rather eventful, as a sea of students I had never ever Indeed, see you this evening. The walk back to the accommodation was rather uneventful, as a sea of students I had never even spoken to before exchanged gestures and greetings and compliments at mine in Nero's way. In truth, it felt rather good to be a voice that inspired people to come forward, as the question of whether he was as harsh to other students as he was to me had certainly been on my mind since our initial interaction. By the time we had reached our temporary abode, the sun had begun its ascent. We both spared a moment to have a quick wash before changing into pieces of somewhat formal attire, bundling our hoods as an accessory. Once we're all set, we take our leave and head to the party. We also take this opportunity to devise our plan. The book has to be there. Everything that book could be about ticked every single box he mentioned earlier when talking about that room. Then we have to strike. I don't see a better time to do it. Everyone's going to be distracted. We got rid of the one problem guest who might be looking to ruin our attempts. We have a rough idea of the target's location. Then let's do this. Agree. You got a plan? Mm-hmm. It's not quite dark enough for it just yet, though. You'll party for a bit. Well, we'll party for a bit. Mingle, drink, just normal. Just nothing that will put us out of commission. As soon as I can, I'm going to see if I can get Hager alone. You horny bastard. Not like that. Get your mind out of the gutter. He kept that bundle of keys on him the entire time we were at the university. If I can find where he stashed the keys, I can get us into that room with no worrying about the lock picks not working. I mean, props to you for thinking ahead, but can't we just do a smash and grab? No, you idiot. First of all, this is a historic building, and I will not be responsible for any damage that happens to it. We'll party for a bit, mingle, drink, just nothing that will put us out of commission. As soon as I can, I'm going to see if I can get Hager alone. You horny bastard. Not like that. Get your mind out of the gutter. He kept that bundle of keys on him the entire time we were at the university. If I can find where he stashed the keys, I can get us into that room with no worrying about the lock picks not working. I mean, props to you for thinking ahead, but can't we just do a smash and grab? No, you idiot. First of all, this is a historic building, and I will not be responsible for any damage that happens to it. Another thing is that if we try anything of that sort and someone catches us or the sound of damage alerts anyone, we'd be fucked. Alright, no smash and grab. We do this professionally and discreetly. Good, now focus up. We're here. It's around the final corner of the street, the city streets. We step into the university grounds. Waiting for us was a familiar figure leaning against the entrance to the hall, his ornate scales glistening in contrast to the bright fires emanating from the torches outside. Hello, my friends. The snake gives us a warm welcome, hugging to both of us before giving us a brief rundown of the night's festivity. If you need to cool down, the outer courtyards are set up to keep you comfortable. The food and drink are self-service. Feel free to help yourself to as much or little as possible. Well, to as much or little as you like. He pauses to take a quick step into the interior of the building, the two of us following shortly behind him, giving us a chance to see just how grand a hall can be when it's set up for these events. He continues to give us a brief description, but we can't help but look past him. Tons of people are taking up different spots across the room, some awkwardly standing, some drinking, and a lot more of them conversing, presumably about something intellectual. And that's pretty much it. Oh, Fraser, I'm so sorry, I almost forgot. Before I can let you enjoy the night's festivities, Professor Rasmus actually asked me to send you his way. He'd like a word about today's incident. Of course, any idea where I can find him? He sits over there. Seeing where the snake is pointing, I began to make my way over to the elk, slowly sifting past the smaller crowds. Good evening, Professor. I've heard you wanted to speak with me. Fraser, my boy. Indeed I have. I'll cut to the chase. This is about the incident you had with the professor Adner today. I'll start by saying I appreciate you keeping this disagreement with only your words and leaving a pause at your sides. But going forward, we have procedures for this, for things like this. Come the start of term, I don't want to see you dishing out verbal beatings like that. You hear? I'm accepted. I'm befuddled. I never even sent in an application. Can I speak candidly with you for a moment, son? My eyes scanned the sides of him to see that his cohort had slowly left, leaving me and him alone. Anders, my friend, but he's an absolute ass. That man's had a hold on this university for a while now. We have grown tired of it. But you're the first person who's had the chance to shake that up. You took him down a peg in just the right way and gave enough courage to students so they could come forward and give us enough evidence so we could finally put a word in with him to make him change his attitude, which I will forever be grateful for. Well, I'm glad to know my talents are appreciated and weathered. It's not very rare we get someone who can simply show up and practically change the entire setting around them. But when we do, their change is generational, and I would like to nurture that change by ensuring you attend here. Just making sure you ain't distracted is all. Grim, Arizona. Alright, got it. Nice. Now we can... Sir, I thought we agreed you were to stay away for a week due to... Silence. If I'm to be effectively banished, you best believe I'm taking some study materials to prepare my curriculum for when I return. Hey, who's down there? Purely acting on instinct, I tightened my grasp on the book and went out the door, the lights turning off slowly behind me as the room no longer detects someone inside. The sounds of footsteps from the corresponding doorway pick up, and I look to my right. Jump! Nero looks up at me to see what I'm gesturing at, but all he can catch is my tail falling over the railing. He's nuts. Get down here. Below the walkway was a set of cells so high that the damage was minimal, giving us both an opportunity to scale down from the upper floor in a rather unconventional way. Fuck, and this was going so well. I know. Listen, we can whine about it later. We gotta move. No arguments. What's the plan? Get back to the hall, ditch the hoods, and make your way back to the safe house. I'll meet you there shortly. I've got no idea what the policy on stolen books is, and I'm not exactly eager to find out, so let's just pack the essentials and move. On it. Don't get caught. We said a brief nod before heading in separate directions to further divide any possible attention that could be drawn to the pair of us. We need to cover my tracks. I need to cover my tracks first. The halls that originally began to quiet down are now once again full of students, faculty seemingly aware of what's happened and calling out to students to do an investigation. However, they seem to be distracted enough with the students they already have out as opposed to the ones who are still making their way there. Using that as my cover, I'm able to sneak out into the courtyard and get out throughout the front entrance, tossing my hood into a nearby ditch as I head towards Hager's home. Using the same keys as before, I let myself through the front entrance, quickly sneaking through the kitchen, keeping my ear waist to the second floor to make sure the snake wasn't steering. The satchel was exactly where I left it, making it easy to sneak the keys back in as if they've never been taken. I could go and it would be the end of it, and then leave him without any explanation, and it would be so much easier, and I'd feel awful. I look around the room and see a spare set of paper and ink. This is the best I can do for now, Hager. Apologies that it's not a proper goodbye. Quickly finishing with my work, I set the paper down and head back out the door, running in the direction of the hideout. You took a sweet time. We're all packed. Let's go. Right behind you. As the sun rises on Alendris, it begins to spread amongst the populace that at the senior social on the night prior, someone succeeded in a dangerous stunt that resulted in the theft of the library's property. While some of the staff were convinced that it was just a practical joke gone wrong, others were not so lenient with the incident as to let it go. This resulted in the suspense of all parties going forward until an investigation occurs and how the perpetrators got access to a private part of the library as well as what might have happened to the property. Someone will be held accountable for this crime. A beloved member of the Alendris educational system would be none the wiser to any of the as, due to his hijinks the night prior, he would sleep in and miss the spread, waking up to an empty bed with a sullen expression. Fraser, you here? The snake would get up out of bed and walk down to the kitchen, saddened that there was absolutely no sight of the fox until his eyes fell upon the note before him. My dear Hager, I can only imagine the expression that must be on your face as you are undoubtedly waking up with a start at the fact that I'm not here. Late last night, shortly after we retired for the night, Noir came to your abode in a panic. He informed me that we have received an urgent letter calling us back to the south. Our family is importing a good friend in Caledonia, and they require both of us to assist. I do apologize, as I do not know when the time may occur for me to return here. But still, you find yourself waiting. But still, you find yourself wanting to see me again. You can find me there. I truly did enjoy our time together, Scales, and I do hope I have not wounded you too deeply with this sudden departure. But now, but know that I do desire to see you again, and one day I'm sure it will happen. Love, Fraser. Disheartened, the snake drops the letter, quickly falling to the floor and slumping against his cabinets, saddened that he did not get a chance to say goodbye in person. His eyes fixed on the end of the letter for a moment more. He smiles. Well then, I suppose this year's journey will be to Caledonia. So that's my fascinating tale. What have you been up to, Ryan? So that's my fascinating tale. What have you been up to, Brian? So that's my fascinating tale. What have you been up to, Brian? That was the side story for Fraser. That was the longest update they've done so far. Again, it's like a side story. It's not part of the main story, so I understand that it's kind of lengthy. So anyway, that Professor Atner, he was not just with Fraser, but he's been getting on a lot of people's nerves because I think he is from a prominent family, and because he's from a prominent family, he thinks he can just pretty much say and do whatever he wants on campus, and that's really annoyed all the other faculty as well as the students. And Agner, I mean, and Hager, and I think another professor actually praised Fraser for standing up to Professor Atner because he's really the first person to do that. And to see the discombobulated look on Professor Atner's face, it really brought a sign of, well, everybody was laughing at him, so it really made everybody happy to see this arrogant, stuck-up professor like that after in the aftermath of Fraser standing up to him. So yeah, so it looks like Fraser done some good, not just with getting the book, but with changing the atmosphere on campus. So it's nice that he has a supportive friend, Nero. Despite their past, they're still friends. They're still dealing with each other. They're still going on missions with each other. So looks like Hager will be going to Fraser's home. Then he'll be looking for Fraser. Then I mean, he did sort of invite Hager to come to his home if he wanted to. So looks like that's what Hager was going to do. So I really enjoy the snake. I mean, he's really friendly and considerate. even though his appearance says the opposite. This big brute who can rip you into a million pieces. But again, he did say that in this world, at least, his kind are naturally strong, so they'll have to work out to get the big muscles and abs they got. They're naturally strong, so. So it looks like this is basically Fraser telling Brian about what he's been doing. At least that's what it seemed to be at the end there. I don't know, but anyway, maybe he was talking to Brian, or I don't know. Maybe he was talking maybe Fraser was talking to himself. I don't know, but anyway, we'll just have to see when the story continues. No, I mean the main story. All right, so thank you all very much for watching. Bye.